What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Squeeze with the 3 in between the 2 E's, and we are back with another video. Thank you guys for joining us. Me, myself, and us. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that follow button, subscribe, comment your favorite brand, like sneakers, your favorite brand of sneakers. That's what we'll do this time. Your favorite brand of sneakers. Go ahead and leave that in the comments. I just want to learn more about you guys. My favorite brand is going to be Adidas. If you haven't guessed already, with the 3 in between the E's, 3 stripes means everything to me. So yeah, that's going to be my favorite brand. But we are gathered here today to talk about a few things. One of those things is, before, my girlfriend's on FaceTime right now making faces at me. That's cool. Anyway, another video I spoke about an upcoming court case that I had, and I didn't really get into depths with you guys. I did reference another video, but I would like to talk a little bit about it. Don't have too much time because I do have a table read that I have to hop into. But over a year ago, January of last year, 2024, I was pulled over and taken to jail. The cop, he had pulled me over and basically told me that my tags were expired, which I knew. Disclaimer, I was going through Carvana, going through something with Carvana at the time, and I wasn't able to register my car or re-register my car. So my tags had been expired for about 6 months while I was dealing with that. But in the meantime, I had to go to work. I had a lot of things going on that I had to, I needed to make money. You know what I mean? I can't just sit around, spend more money than on Ubers and Lyfts that I'm getting to pay my bills. It just didn't make sense. So, I took the risks. I drove. I understood the consequences that were going to come along with it. But what I didn't know at the time was my license had been suspended due to a failure to appear to court, which was false. I actually went to that court. I actually went to court for that that particular time, but for some reason they hadn't logged it, and I don't know what happened with their paperwork, but I remember signing in. I remember speaking to the person at the bench. They were like, "Oh, this is your first time in court. You can handle this, without talking to the judge through the PTIT program." If you don't know what that is, definitely Google it. So I asked her, I was like, "Yeah, so I don't need anything tangible that states that?" She was like, "No, something will be sent to you in the mail." Nothing was sent to me in the mail. The next thing that I received in the mail was, due to a failure to appear to court, your license will be suspended on this date. So I went back to the court to handle that. I had to fill out a few documents stating why I didn't appear, which I explained everything to them. I told them exactly what I just told you guys. And I wrote down dates that worked for me for my next my next court date. They ended up sending something else in the mail saying, "This is going to be your new court date. It's going to be on a Monday," right? The Saturday prior, January 6, 2024, I get pulled over by the Cobb County Police. Tags are expired. Like I said, I'm going through something with Carvana. For whatever reason, Carvana hadn't re-registered my car because it was their responsibility to do, but something had happened where they weren't on the ball. And I had been going through something with Carvana for like a couple of years up until that point. They kept losing my paperwork. It was just a whole bunch of bullshit. If you guys know anything about Carvana, you know that there's been a lot of bullshit and scams happening and stolen cars that they're, Anyway, there's just a lot of bullshit happening with Carvana, and I unfortunately went through my own bullshit with them. So I had explained that to the officer. He seemed to understand. This wasn't my first time having to explain that to an officer. Usually they would just give you a ticket or give me a ticket and say, just take care of that in court. And I do. So this time in particular, it seemed like he was buying time for other officers to pull up, you know. And I'm on FaceTime with my sister. I had just grabbed some Taco Bell. I was in the area, and it went from do you know why your tags are expired to these tents on your windows are too dark, slip something on the window. And it's like, that's never happened to me before. No other cop has ever said that my tints are too dark. I got this from Carvana, you know what I mean? So anyway, it just seemed like this weird long drawn out process for tags. Next thing I know, he comes to the window and he's like, oh, is that a key or a key fob? And I'm like, it's a key fob. He goes, can I have it? And I was like, no, he said, can I see it? And to me, I'm like, see me, nigga, with your eyes. But he had his hand out. I'm like, are you taking my car? And he said, mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. So then I started detaching the key, and then I started thinking like, wait, there's other officers and shit here. Are you taking me? He was like, yes. And I said, why? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to know why. I wasn't, belligerent. I wasn't being an asshole to him. I was just asking for communication, which I had given him communication. I'd been very forthcoming with all the information and that he had asked for up until that point. So I was expecting the same in return. It wasn't like I was riled up. It wasn't like I was doing all these crazy hand gestures. I have video, so we can add that in here. We can voice over it or something, but everything was cool. But then he wouldn't tell me why I was being taken. And I thought that was odd because I'm like, well, we were just talking about everything else. Why can't you just tell me why you're taking me? I'm not going to resist. Like, I'll go with you. You know what I mean? So he just was reluctant to telling me. He was just insistent that I get out the car. And I'm like, bro, you have my key. Like you have it, bro. I'm not going anywhere. At this point, my sister is on FaceTime. She is recording it, So I was just asking him, like, can you just tell me why? Like, you're taking me? Can you just tell me? He wouldn't tell me. And he goes, basically, if you don't get out this car, we're going to come in there and get you. And so, bro, I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, I already don't really fuck with police. I don't fuck with the system. Let's just be clear. I don't fuck with the system. But then on top of that, police that abuse their power, and anyone who's in a place of power that misuse it or use it in a way and wield it in a way where it's like, because I have this badge, because I have this stance in society, you have to respect me belligerently. I can't stand behind that, because in order to get respect, you should be giving it. You know what I mean? Which is what I did. I gave him the utmost respect. You feel me? And I wasn't met with that. So reciprocal energy is a thing, but at the same time, bro, I'm also not being difficult with you to just communicate, which he did. And he said, we're going to come in there and get you. So I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? All right, bet. Well, if I come out there, will you tell me? You know what I mean? I'm like, when I come out there, will you tell me why I'm being taken? Because now I need to communicate with my people. I got my sister on the call. She has to call my mother. We need to put things in place so that I'm okay. Like, at the same time, bro, because I don't know why I'm being taken, how can I know that I can trust you? It's not a secret, all the things that have been happening here with police. I'm in the South. It's not a secret. You feel me? So, I ended up getting out the car. He was like, yeah, I'll tell you why we're taking you once you get out. I get out the car, slowly. They immediately make contact. The officer that was standing next to him, shorty, she immediately grabs my arm. But I had my keys in my hand, like my house keys and shit like that. I had them in my hand, and I have OCD, so like I don't. One thing that super bothers me is losing my shit, and I had stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I want to just place my things down. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we were gonna get out the car, chop for a little bit, and then it just be like, all right, bet, well, go ahead and take me. But it was like immediate force, and I'm like, bro, you don't gotta do that. Like, I'm not brandishing a weapon. My hands are where you can see them. And my energy is not up here. Like I wasn't riled up at any point. Even when he was being difficult with me, it wasn't like I was being difficult with him. It was like he was doing the things so that he could get to the next step and be physical with me. You know, just so he could write it down like, oh, well, I told him to get out the car numerous times and he didn't. So next step is, you know, forcibly remove this and slam to the floor that, which is where it went. So they placed my hand behind my back and pushed that shit all the way up, bro. And I'm not resisting them, but I don't want him to break my shoulder blade. Like I have previous injuries and shit like that. So like I played football, that I still deal with till this day. So I'm like, bro, like you don't know what the fuck I got going on, and you doing all this weird shit, bro. Like you're looking at me as a threat, but you're the threatening one at this point in time. You know what I mean? Like you guys surrounded me. Like think about it like this. Let's say I get stopped on a street, like a car cuts me off, and like now I can't drive, and a nigga with a gun taps on my window and is like, nigga, what you got on you? And then these niggas are like, get out the car or I'm gonna take you out this bitch, and he got a gun on him. You expect me to do? Okay, bet. Well, maybe I can be peaceful and the nigga will just, you know, it'll be a peaceful situation. I get out the car and I'm surrounded by a bunch of gang niggas. You feel me? Like, what do you expect me to do? How do you expect me to, you expect me to just let you like throw me to the ground, like hurt me and shit like that? Like, no, like my body is going to tense up. Like let's just think about this shit logically, bro. Like you're placing my arm in a contorted position. That hurts. You know? So it's not resisting arrest, nigga. It's resisting being hurt. And respectfully, I got out the car willingly. It's not like I'm running away. It's like you feel me? So he ends up telling me like, your license is suspended while he's doing this shit. And I'm like, okay, that explains why you guys want to arrest me. Like, but now you telling me that, I'm thinking, okay, this is some Carvana shit. These niggas didn't have me fucked up. Like, I'm not placing the blame on you because none of this is your responsibility. Your responsibility to me as a citizen is to de-escalate whatever situation we're in. But you escalated this shit. Right? And even then, I'm still keeping my composure because I could have hooked off on you and I didn't. I could have tried to run. I didn't. I could have tried to break away from you and I didn't. I was communicating the entire time. I have something in my hand. I want to drop them. They're sharp. Like I have something in my hand. I have my keys in my hand. I have my keys in my hand. And he wasn't hearing it until he did. He was like, drop your keys. And he gave me enough room where I could drop them. Then he slams me on the ground. And it's like crazy. Anyway, he hurt himself while doing that because he's a dickhead. And he shouldn't have done that in the first place. So what went from being a possible misdemeanor turned into a felony. I was also had the charge of driving with expired tags and a suspended license. So that went from 2 to 3, you know, 2 moving violations to now a felony because he got hurt and wanted to charge me with obstruction, you know. And I think it's unfair, bro. I really do. Like, I know it's unfair. I know it's unjust to do that. Like, I got physically hurt from that situation. Nobody gives a fuck. You feel me? Like, bruised ribs, nobody gives a fuck. Like I'm bleeding and shit like that. Nobody cares. Like, that shit is embarrassing. Being thrown on the ground in public and you legally can't fight back is like probably one of the most demoralizing things that you can go through as a human being. You know, not being able to fight back legally, you know, without your life being on the line. And my life was literally on the line. Had I not been how old was I, 28 at the time? Had I not been my 28-year-old self, like maybe 3, 4, 5 years before that, I would have did some fucked up shit. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's just to fight back an oppressor in that situation where you're dead wrong for doing that. You know what I mean? But legally, I'm dead wrong for swinging and hooking off on you because you're an officer of the law. And what the law enforcement is taught is, as long as you can explain it, go ahead and do it. Why do I know that? I have experience. I have experience. I was once law enforcement. No, I was not a cop that fucking rode around in a police cruiser, but I was a correctional officer for a short amount of time, you know, for about a year. And my experience with that was I was able to see exactly how these complexes are formed and built through training. Prior to training, what type of people gravitate toward this field? You know, being able to see what sort of patterns form. You know, going through the academy and being a person who's like super vibrant, me being super vibrant and super cool with niggas and shit like that, and then going into that environment and having to tap into a whole different part of my brain, my militant brain, and being like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here for that. I'm here to get my grades good and impress who I need to impress, but like make it out of here having learned something, and like train myself to deal with the environment that I'm gonna be in, like a lot of the time. Like, you know, being in a prison, everybody's in prison. It don't matter if you leave and get to go home. Like, the prisoners, don't get me wrong, they got it the worst. But like with the niggas who get to leave and go home, the correctional officers, they're still in prison though. Because respectfully, you're there minimum 12 hours a day. Minimum 12 hours a day, bro. And I got PTSD from that. I did. For sure. Like, for a long time, I couldn't even really get sleep after leaving that facility. After leaving correction, I couldn't get sleep without hearing keys jingling, hearing niggas call me by my last name with an echo, you know what I mean? And hearing cell doors close. You feel me? Like, there's a lot of shit that comes along with that life. So like with this officer, I'm looking at how he's handling this situation. And I'm like, bro, you need training, bro. You don't even know who I am. Like, I have a PBA card in my wallet. If you were to just look, if you were to just take a look, I have a PBA card in my wallet, nigga. Like, we basically brothers. You know what I mean? You feel me? So I'm like going through the situation. It's like, yo, like, I know how to deal with this situation, but I also know how to deal with this situation as a man. And I'm not gonna hold you. There's not been too many times where I've backed down from anybody who places or hoists any sort of power over me, because whatever power you physically have over me, you don't have any power over my mind. So even during that situation, I'm yelling out to these niggas, you are not for the community. You are not for the community. You are not for the community. Why? I do have the right to be silent, but I'm gonna exercise my right of freedom of speech. And that's what I did. So, you know, with the people who are watching, hopefully that plants a seed where they understand this black man went through this, but he planted a seed within me that I'll never forget. These niggas are not for the community. They are not. You know what I mean? And this proves it. Me having to go an entire year and a half not getting a ticket, which is like, is shit. It's so easy to get a ticket. I didn't realize that until last year. I had never gotten a ticket until last year. I kept getting pulled over for shit, like, or I kept getting bro, I got a ticket for being out of park past park hours. Like, who the fuck gets a ticket for loitering? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it's not like I was bullshitting. Like, nigga, I parked there at for an event. Like, so, you know, anyway, but I had to go through this for a year and a half. There were things that I had to sit out on. There were things and people that I couldn't even be around a lot of the time because of my possible felony. And I'm out on bond. You know what I mean? Like, I went to 2 facilities. You know, I'm out on bond. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my friends who donated to me in this cause to get a lawyer, you know, and pay for like a legitimate lawyer that could help me out of this situation. You know, shout out Auntie Randa Trapp, a judge, ex-judge, retired judge from San Diego. You know, two of my brothers, their mom, she suggested Julie Kurt. If you need an attorney and you're dealing with something similar, reach out to Julie. You know what I mean? In the Atlanta area, like reach out to Julie. But she helped me out, and they know my character. It's not like they're gonna put their neck out on the line for somebody who's into this bullshit all the time, bro. Like I'm active in my communities that I touch, so I felt like this was like a spit in the face to my community for real, for real. So I took all this shit personally, and I still take it personally, even though it's not personal. It is though, for me. For me, like with all due respect, it's personal because these things are happening to people who are like me, look like me, dress like me, sound like me, smell good like me. You know what I mean? And who have things going for them like me. And there are people who these things are happening to who don't have much going for them in the physical realm, but they're being held back in the spiritual realm. However, so now the physical realm is matching that, and like they're being targeted because they don't have the money, they don't have the resources to get themselves out of that situation. You know what I mean? So I was kind of used by God because I had prayed before that. I was like, you know what, God, I want to be, what was the prayer? It was something like, I want to be with the people. That's what it was. I want to be where the people are. Like, I just want to be with the people. And I can't remember why I said those exact words, but I felt it within me to say that. And that's when that shit happened. I went to jail. Where are people? Jail. There's a lot of people in jail. Like, what the fuck? I'm looking at this shit like, wow, this is crazy. I fasted for the days that I was in jail. I didn't eat the entire time until I got released, you know, for multiple reasons. I just didn't want to eat that bullshit, you know, that they feeding niggas in there, because they don't give a fuck about inmates, for real. They don't give a fuck. So why would they give a fuck about what they're eating and feeding them? So I'm like, you know what? This shit could fuck around and chemically fuck up what I got going on up here. So let me just not indulge in that shit. Let me tap all the way in and ground myself in wherever God is trying to place me. And he placed me with the people. So I said, you know what? Fuck food. We gonna hear God's voice. And I heard God's voice. He said, this is what you asked for. Tap in, lock in. And I locked in with niggas. I'm really looking around, talking to niggas. Like it was such a stressful situation for everybody. We ended up in that bitch laughing. You know what I mean? People going through some fucked up shit. I hate to make this about race, but I feel like race is absolutely a thing when it comes to shit like this, bro. I sat next to a shorty, a white girl, who got drunk behind the wheel of a car, drove into mobile homes and almost killed people. Excuse me, and almost killed people. And her bond was like a fourth of mine. And I'm only talking, and I got bonded out of one facility and had to bond out of another one. Once I bonded out of one, they're like, okay, bet. Well, because of that felony, bro, you're going over there. And then that was even more money. You feel me? And her shit was like a fourth of my the one charge. Yeah. I'm like, bro, y'all got it fucked up. Y'all got this fucked up. Y'all got this fucked up. So, yeah, there just has to be a change that's made, and I have my ideas as to how I would like to go forward with that. But this is also how I would love to utilize my platform, is just speak on the bullshit that's happening here. Just from because I know people are talking about it, and I know people see it, but I also know that there are people within my community that have gone through it and don't really feel like it's necessary to say for them. And this is my opportunity to be your voice. So for the sake of me doing right by all of you, this is my story. And as of yesterday, I was able to get this shit cleared, bro. My tags and my suspended license, they wiped that, so that didn't count against me. And then my felony turned into a misdemeanor of disorderly conduct, which is bullshit. But at the end of the day, it could have been worse. And I thank God for allowing me to see things for what they are, reminding me of my purpose and my goals that I had set prior to that, and recentering my focus in why I create the way that I do and create what I do, and tap in who I tap in with. You know, this is my community, and I'm standing by you guys 100%. So I pray that you guys continue to stand by me as you did, because without y'all, no bullshit, without your phone calls, your text messages, your financial contributions from people that I didn't even expect to contribute in a time of need where I felt like, bro, like I'm not really the type of nigga to ask for shit. I'm having to learn to ask. And bro, people sent me bread and took care of like half the funds needed to secure my lawyer. Took care of the down payment on my lawyer. That shit was amazing, bro. And I couldn't have done it I literally could not be here right now without you guys. So I love you. I appreciate you guys for listening to my story. And I'm 1 minute shy of locking in on this table read, which I'll tell you guys about the next time I film, because we're going to be filming tomorrow. So go ahead and comment your favorite shoe brand. Mine is Adidas. I love you guys. Please be safe. Do not take any unnecessary risks. And if you take a risk, make sure it's worth it. Okay? And I love you again. Be safe. And shit, bro. Tap in. Oh.